Welcome everyone, this is Farmer Cobb here. This is going to be part 2 of my tutorial series on how to use the new Precision Farming DLC. If this is what you're looking for, please stay tuned. Alright folks, so last week we went over some of the basics to this. This week we are actually going to go over adding pH levels. So we're gonna look at some of the pH levels. I fully tested this field, and this field. I know we just kind of did some random tests around, but yes, I fully tested these fields so I could have a good idea of the pH values. Yes, we're gonna look at pH data today and how to change that. Next video we're gonna go over nitrogen, and then we'll probably go over yield in the next video as well. We are gonna start looking at some of the economics here. So if you look in here, we're going to start going down our costs because lime is the next thing on this list. So for example, this one, our current costs are at $8.02, which I don't know where the $2, oh, there we go, vehicle maintenance. So it does keep track of vehicle maintenance as well. So it's very detailed, which is fantastic. So that's just the maintenance needed for whatever I drove on this vehicle or on this field. $800 there, that's how much soil samples. This one's $1,000 in soil samples, $1 in vehicle maintenance, and so on and so forth. So our total is down here. And I can hit reset if I want to, but we're going to keep it all the same. We're going to work through probably these 3 fields. Yeah, probably these 3, maybe just these 2. But I included this one as well because if we go over to here, unselect that, to soil types that had some silty clay in it, whereas these ones didn't have any. So I wanted to have all the different all the different soil types involved. So we're going to look at changing those pH values. So if we go over here, these pH values, it's kind of hard to tell exactly which one. So there's a couple where they're at 550, a little bit of 575, some 6s, which our pH values are actually fairly good. 625, some no 650s over here, no 675s. But so depending on the soil type is what pH value, and I'm going to put a chart up on the screen to demonstrate that. So up in the upper right hand corner, for the loamy sand, which is this yellow section here, the pH value is 6. Regardless of the crop type. Now for sandy loam, which is the green, it's 6.5. Then for the loam, which is this section here, it is 6.75, and the silty clay needs the most at 7. So obviously those are all kind of just varying. If we go over to pH, they're just kind of varied about. So it's can be tricky to make sure you get the right amounts on each section, and we'll go over some of that in a second here, how to make that work for you. But I'm going to leave that up so we can take a look at how much lime we're using. And everything like that. But if we hop out of here, we're gonna go ahead and hop in the lime spreader here in just a second. But yeah, so we need to adjust the pH values. The nitrogen values on there are just a set value because those vary depending on the crop type that you're going to plant. So I recommend maybe planting first, or I am actually going to make a chart similar to the one you see up in the upper right hand corner with the soil types and ideal pHs. I'm going to make a chart for all the different crop types and what their ideal nitrogen levels are, and when I do my next video on nitrogen. So that'll be available to you. So now if we're here, we can open up our help menu. You see at the bottom there's a pH value lime application little section there at the bottom. So it's currently set. Well, we'll talk about the actual how that works in a second. But if you look down the list now, we have a new option that says deactivate automatic application rate. So if we hit a comma, we're going to activate, or we're now going to do it manually. So if we hit that, it's automatic, which means that as we drive over it, or as a worker drives over it, they will automatically apply what is required to get the pH value where it needs to be, which is fantastic. So we're going to leave it on auto for this field, and then we're going to do manual for this field, just to kind of take a look at some of the differences. So if we start driving, get a little bit closer here, and you notice the mini map has it as well, which if you don't see it on the mini map and you don't see anything, just drive up to a field. But there you go. So it has that set, and we are set to auto. And if you want to know what you're set at, you can look down at the very bottom of that pH value where it says pH value lime application. On the very bottom it says application rate 0.00 tons per hectare, and the application rate is on automatic there. You can see in the parentheses. So now that we're on here, we drive just over onto the field. It should give me, there we go. Okay. So it says pH plus 0.75. The target, that little flag on there, is where we're trying to get to for loam to get to 6.75. The target is 6.75 for loam. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to turn on the spreader, and it should automatically apply as needed. And you can see the rate will change a little bit on the bottom of that pH value chart. I'll actually hire a worker to make sure they just do it right. But if I hire a worker, it's still going to show up that chart, and it's still going to adjust it as needed, putting less, more on as needed. Now it won't be perfect either, and you'll see that once we get around to the end. But you can see the lime is well, actually it's set to. Let me set it to. You know, we'll just leave it at that setting just because we did it already. I was gonna say I was gonna change it to workers not buying it. We'll do that for the next one actually, because there's a couple of things I'm curious about. Because as we go into here, if we click on it, it's lime on there, 1,093. That's how much it's costing us so far. The 9%, I'm assuming that's a negative because it's in parentheses, is what I'm gonna guess. And I'm guessing that's money we've saved by using the RTK building. That's what I'm predicting on that end. That'll require some more testing, or maybe that's because it doesn't need as much lime or something like that. But yeah, so as you can see, that percentage is changing a little bit as we go through the field, and it might go back down or up or whatever the case may be. But I think it's a green because even though we're still losing money putting lime down, I think that's a cost saving measure there. But you can see everything is slowly updating as we go through. So and then we'll take a look at the different fertilizers we can put down. Then seeds is going to get included. Fuel is being included right now, or at least it should be potentially. But anyhow, you can see we're starting to get to some different pH values here. So if we look at the 7, or the 6.75 there, if we remember from our chart, 6.75 is for loam. So if we go over to here, that's loam through there. Now, if a sandy loam, which is this section right here, is sandy loam is ideal 6.5. So you can see it's automatically applying where it needs to be for that soil type, which is fantastic. So that is how the automatic rate works. And this field is going to look beautiful compared to what it needs on these different soil types. So up here on the loamy sand, it's going to need an ideal value of 6. So once it gets that up to 6, which it's going to pass part of it here in a second. We'll wait to get around the bend here a little bit. Actually, it should pass a little corner of it there. You can see there's a little segment right there of 6 where it's got that down right there. So it's very easy to put down the correct amount. Looking at this, it's like, oh gosh, how am I ever going to get the amount I need on there? How is that possible? Well, you just put it on automatic and you're good to go. Now you can manually adjust it, which is a little bit trickier. We'll take a look at that in a second. So if you really want a challenge, you can do that. But if we go over here, so loam, this whole section needs to be at 6.75. So right there, it needs to be quite a bit darker. So if we actually go, and we will, I'll wait for him to finish this row here, then I'm going to unhire him. And beautiful. All right, now we're going to set it to manual. So on manual, there's a K and an M option on there to adjust the application rate. I can see I'm moving up the application rate to as high as I want to go, which is crazy high there, all the way up, and then I can go all the way back down. So if I pull up to this field, it should give me, there we go. Okay, so it says pH plus 0.5. It still gives you all the optimal settings there, and you can see how much I'm applying by that bar there. So there's what I want to apply to. So if I hit B, turn on this guy. Okay, the target plus 0.75. We're not applying quite the right amount in some spots. Some areas you can see we are. There we go. We'll bump it up as I see that we need to. So we're applying the right amount through here. Beautiful. But if I turn this off for a second, I go up here. So it's a little bit tricky to do yourself for sure. Ooh, maybe I needed a tractor with a little bit more horsepower. All right, there we go. So if I bump that down, turn that on, as I go up here, it might require less or more, so I can adjust that by doing, and I can over apply like crazy if I really want to. Just go all the way out on it, and we'll see what that does to the field here in a second. You can see down in the bottom left-hand corner, as a matter of fact, what it's doing to the field. And I can go back down to applying kind of what I might need to apply. So you can adjust it doing that. Now the question I have, which I'm going to take a look at here, so this is all loam, so that was pretty easy to apply, but if you go down the center there, I'm not sure what it's going to give you for an option, but you can see we got some crazy high pH values in some spots that are going to be ridiculous. And now let's look at the economics. So it's still showing me a lime cost here, which I didn't buy any lime. It's showing me how much I used, but I didn't buy any. I was using what was already in the trailer, so I didn't have to buy any. So this is just going to give you a cost of the lime per whatever value it has set, which I can find that out pretty easily. So if we take this value, we put down 3,250 liters. So let's go ahead and take the 731 divided by 3.250. Which gives us, so it's putting out about an average of 225 per 1,000 liters, which I think is that the base 225 per 1,000 liters of lime. Take a look here what the base price is. Yeah, 225 per 1,000 liters. So it's probably going to use base game prices, which makes sense. And we'll take a look at some of the slurry values and stuff like that, what it's going to charge for those. But in essence, that is how you apply the lime to your field, or the pH value of the field, to change it or adjust it how you want to. We'll take a look at some more stuff. We're going to do some testing. If you guys have questions about this, please drop it down below in the comments. After I finish my series on this, which will be 4 or 5 videos, I am going to do a frequently asked questions video, or a couple of those, to answer a lot of the questions and try to answer a lot of the questions that people have about this DLC. So, anyhow, guys, if you guys enjoyed this, please drop a like down below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button up on your screen to join the Farmer Cop channel, and turn on your notification bell so you don't miss any future videos I may post. This has been Farmer Cop. Thank you guys for coming and watching.